welcome back to Speedrun Ragnarok. We are continuing with our firefighter block with Burning Rangers, which is going to be run by Shentok. We did have that bid war if we were going to be playing as Sho or as Tillis. We managed to get in a donation that set us to having Tillis be our main character, so I'm going to close out that bid war. Just so you all know about what is coming up on the docket as far as donation incentives go. We have the next one are going to be for the next run after this. We are going to be running Final Fantasy X-2 by the absolutely amazing Nikki Noel. We have a couple of naming incentives there to name some of the monsters we'll be capturing. So you can name the Goon, the Female Goon, and the Blue Flan, and that's going to be all up to y'all. So please feel free to throw in those donations. Keep that wonderful, good energy going on. We've been doing an absolutely amazing job. It is only Tuesday, and we've already raised well over $5,000 here for Take This. And just because the last run, we ended up having a bit of fun. So I didn't get to talk too much about Take This. Take This is a mental health nonprofit charity. They go around to different conventions, bringing their absolutely wonderful AFK room. Our goal for this marathon is to raise $10,000. That would completely cover the cost of one of those trips out to a convention to bring the AFK room to people who need it. Anyway, Shentok, do you want to tell us a little bit about this game?
Howdy, howdy. This is Burning Rangers. One of the last games on the Sega Saturn in the U.S. There was definitely more released in like 1998, but this was like kind of like the swan song by Sega themselves. It's by Sonic Team, who's known for Phantasy Star Online, the Sonic games, of course, and a bunch of other stuff. They really wanted to push what the Saturn can do with this game, so there's a lot of really cool things this game does that those thought the Saturn couldn't do at the time. And with that, we can just get right into it. And just like the last game, we will be fighting as little fire as we possibly can, but also we're going to rescue as few people as we can.
I like how that has been like the strat for both of these firefighting games is fight the least amount of fire possible. Also, thank you very much, Nihon Tiger, for the raid. Welcome in, everybody, from Nihon Tiger's stream for some late night anime-style firefighting.
So are we ready?
I think so. Why don't you count us down?
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1, and let's go not put out fires.
Also, chat would like to know, A, are we going to be trashing priceless works of art? And B, will there be any dinosaur facts?
Sadly, no on both counts. There's no works of art. We're mostly in facilities that are very industrial in nature.
Also,
but we will be going to space, if that's any consolation.
Okay, that's cool. We're going to space. Space Cruise sounds a little bit nicer than the dinosaur cruise we went on. Also, we did have a $10 donation come in from previous runner Glitch Witch, and she says that this one is for Betty.
All right. So like right at the start of the game, there's a person that you can rescue right there. Basically, when you rescue a person, it takes up to 10 crystals with 5 minimum requiring, and then you get like a little piece of dialogue with some really bad voice acting in the US version. Japanese version might have good voice acting for the people you rescue. But this game is like heavily reliant on voice acting for navigation. You have I forget her name, but there's like a woman who heads the Burning Rangers crew who gives you navigation throughout the game. Okay, so we're playing as Tillis, who's a new recruit. She doesn't really have a past. Something about being an orphan or with like an unknown history. And there's also, you can play a Sho who's like more sure of himself, but he's a lot less interesting as far as the like dialogue goes. But both characters play exactly the same, have the same story. Tillis is like faster by about 3 seconds because of dialogue. If you've ever played Phantasy Star Online, that's like how most people know about this game is from the original Phantasy Star Online. There are like references and even the intro songs in that game as like a CD you can purchase and just play at random times, I guess. But if you were someone who owned the Saturn, this was like a game you wanted to get. It was definitely one of the few shining gems released during its lifetime. So our main form of movement is this kind of dashing. It's somewhat similar to sliding in the Mega Man games, and except that you press you press the direction you want to go, and you press the jump button at the same time, and you boost in that direction. You just there's kind of like just like a little rhythm to it. I mostly just go based off of the animation of the boosters on your back. So there are some people that we are required to rescue, and you can tell that they're required to rescue because they'll have 2 green gems in front of them, which are worth 5 apiece. So that way you're not, stuck if you ran out of gems or anything like that. They're always prepared for you. So now the power's gone out. We're trying to figure out what's going on. We're just like kind of piecing the story together. One of the things this game did that really pushed the Saturn was this dynamic lighting that lights up as you're moving around. The Saturn was more of a 2D powerhouse. It could do 3D through some quirky tricks, but most of the time it was not as good as its counterparts like the PlayStation, and to a lesser extent the 3D, the N64, I guess. I was gonna say the 3DO, but that's not right. And if you're familiar with early Sonic Adventure voice acting, the guy who plays Knuckles plays several voices in this game, and also I believe, and also there's other actors that I can't remember what they've done on top of my head, but they definitely used a lot of characters that were, or a lot of the actors that were used in later Sonic games. So this game is very laggy to the point where occasionally you just drop inputs. And there's different kinds of fire. You also have a shot that you can use. It's kind of like not exactly a water gun. It's like some sort of energy gun that can put out fires. Red fires go out with just one shot. Green and blue fires require more hits. You can also have a charge attack that destroys fires. But when you destroy a fire, normally crystals appear from it, and crystals are basically like Sonic the Hedgehog rings, where as long as you at least have one, you'll lose them if you take a hit. And if you don't have any, you'll die and start over from the last checkpoint. And for the most part in this game, checkpoints are fairly generous, but the next stage, the first checkpoint's very far into the stage, and dying is a big setback there. So this guy's like, hey, there's something going on. Why aren't you figuring out what the problem really is? It turns out like some sort of plant had mutated and taken over the facility and is just destroying everything. So what they expect you to do here is do this like platforming on the side, but we can just jump up here with a double jump and just get up there. But this game has like a lot of really cool movement mechanics, a little too early. And so with bosses, you can only use the charge shot to damage them. But yeah, like a lot of cool little movement mechanics with like just alone with jumping. You have 2 different kinds of double jumps. If you double tap it quickly, you get a double jump where you get a lot of vertical height, but you can't really control your movement. And if you space out the jumps, you can have a lot more horizontal movement. And a very nice boss fight there. That boss fight can sometimes be a little tricky. It's probably the hardest boss fight for me personally, just because sometimes either lag or just the errant flame will get you and just kind of mess up the whole rhythm. And then after each stage, there's an animated cutscene, but sadly, we just have to skip it. Just gotta save that time. And it gives you little bits and pieces of stories, like, hey, something's going on. That's something, or from just like talking to people in the area. But like the first stage is more like the intro stage, get you the vibe of the game, introduce you to the characters. And the second stage is where the story really starts. And so we're going to be going to an underwater facility off the coast of New Zealand. We're basically at the bottom of the ocean, and there was a report of a fire going on, and with no idea of what the cause is. And supposedly there's only a few people to rescue, but as we go on, we find out there's a lot more people to rescue than originally predicted. And this stage is definitely the longest stage. There's a lot of cutscenes, and it's just fairly lengthy in general. And we get introduced to underwater mechanics, and the fastest way to move underwater is just to mash your attack button and your jump button. Well, your jump button makes you move up, and your attack button makes you move down. And mashing both of them, you get a lot of speed out of it, so you just like kind of alternate it. And also, fire has weird hitboxes; you can just kind of fly over it.
Turn left.
There we go.
But
And
do
we're
you
gonna go
get
through
the
this a little bit.
iframe from going through the fire?
Only when you get hit, you get iframes.
Okay, good. We had the whole thing about how fire gives you iframes. We want to make sure that was also true in this game.
Oh, it's definitely true. Although I would say that iframes aren't really all that helpful. Oop, there we go.
Aw.
Stay alert until the
Because ideally you don't want to get hit. But what's interesting is if you do get hit, you have this communication button that you can press to get advice on where to go next. And if you press that after getting hit, you can reduce the time that you're stunned after getting hit. So it's like, hopefully you don't get hit, but if you do, you can at least shorten. Never got caught there before. Usually I get caught somewhere else. And in the hallway I was in, usually I'll get hit by the fire. There's like explosions there that are guaranteed. Yes, we were gonna save this dolphin, and that's what we did by pressing that button. Basically, the tank had run out of was not like cycling air for for them to get oxygen. I guess I'm not entirely sure how that works out for a dolphin, but maybe like the tank's sealed or something. So we saved the dolphin.
Friends, yay!
Yes, and Tillis inexplicably can talk to and understand dolphins. It's the most amazing thing. Part of her mysterious backstory that we don't get to learn about.
Now, do you learn about this casually?
Not particularly.
Okay, great.
Oop. There we go. So now we get introduced to our first enemy. Enemies aren't really a thing in this game. Mostly your enemies are fire, but in this stage we do have these robots that you have to kill to open the doors, and there's only 2 of them that we have to kill, but there are many more that appear around.
So she has a blaster?
Yeah, we have these blasters that are specifically designed for fighting fires, and for some reason they can also destroy robots and bosses.
Okay, that all checks out.
So now we have a mandatory cutscene here where you get a key card from the cutscene, so you can see it like physically being given to you during the cutscene. I actually had it happen a couple weeks ago where I got hit going into the cutscene, so it misaligned me with like how everything was going on. And the key card was actually there on the field afterwards, which I never knew could happen.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the key card's like an actual item. It's the only time something you actually have an inventory of sorts. It just shows up next to your blaster on the UI. And I for some reason in all my time running this, I had never noticed that before.
It's always nice when you notice those little details.
Yeah. So we need that key card in order to progress. Sadly, the walls in this game are extremely solid. You can't clip through them at all.
Aww.
Yeah. But if you've ever played Nights in the Dreams on the Saturn, this uses a modified version of the engine. So basically, like a lot of like the weird quirks of the Nights engine is present here, but there's also like a lot of new things like 3D transparencies, which were thought to be impossible on the Saturn, just because of how the 2 GPUs communicate with each other. And the Sonic team had to figure out a clever way to do it. Normally, information is set from one chip to another for transparency, and then it's sent back to the other chip to do the final composition. And so normally 3D things that have transparency will overwrite like any 2D images, so then they would just disappear completely. So they basically did that, and they did it in reverse to force the transparency to happen that normally wouldn't happen. So like right here you see like these little transparent holograms that would be impossible to do normally.
It's a very cool effect. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Like they really pushed the hardware hard on this game. Like it still runs at a pretty decent speed. There's like occasionals where it just drops down really badly. For the most part, it's at a playable frame rate. And right behind us is the switch that a lot of people miss on their casual playthrough, that you can't progress without hitting that. And like even sometimes in runs I'll forget to hit it because it's just so, off to the side. And right there was a very important cutscene. Basically, the dolphin told us that there's actually a monster here that's causing all the problems, and we're finding out that there's a lot more people here. It turns out a school was here on a field trip instead of like the original estimate of about 10 to 30 people needing to be rescued. It turns out there's hundreds more, from like an entire school is here.
Why
But
is
we're
the
not going to be
entire
rescued.
school here?
Yeah, an entire school is at an underwater laboratory for a field trip.
Can you take me to the bottom of this building?
No, we're not in
Okay.
space. We're underwater off the coast of New Zealand. So now the dolphin's helping us out, taking us to another part of the facility. I'm guessing, thankful for helping him out. But that's not the end. Oh, go on.
I'm like, this game just raises like very different questions than the last game, but they are no less valid and no less confused.
Exactly. But that's not the last we'll see of our dolphin friend. The dolphin friend's gonna help us once more. There we go. Go underwater. Get to see a lot more cool transparency effects, and then there's show there. And for some reasons, being competitive about saving lives. And what's cool thing about saving lives in this game, you actually get emails from the people you save, and they give you like codes for special stages. And I'm not sure if they give you anything else, but I know they give you codes for special stages. But basically just the same stages, but you can play as other characters that appear, like Big Landman.
Wait, okay.
And yeah.
Big landman, okay. And what other characters are in this game?
Trying to remember their names.
Fair.
There's the green-haired girl, and then there's the blonde girl who's the leader. And I think those are the only other characters you can play as, but they're different in that they have the normal set stages, but the Burning Rangers theme song is like constantly playing on loop.
Okay, that seems like a good enough incentive to play those levels.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
See, here we go. Lots of swimming, and the dolphin is just basically leading us around and pointing us on where to go.
Transmitting device was found when the lab was built, but I don't think that caused the earthquake.
There is no Nico, but there's a lot of similarities to the story in Sonic Adventure 2, as we'll see later on.
All right, I have to ask though, who has the nice accented voice? Because I am already here for this.
Nice accented voice. Which
The
one?
The one we just heard, the low accented voice. At least I heard it on my end.
There's not much time left.
Whoops.
Okay, just a second.
It's either Big or
Water is coming in.
Reed. That's his name. That's one of the other guys. His name is Reed Phoenix, although for some reason his name is spelled like lead.
I mean, that makes sense.
So now we're gonna enter one of the hardest rooms in the game. It gets extremely laggy in here. There's 3 robots that you technically like they make it frame it like you have to kill all of them. Oops. There we go. But we only have to kill the one in the back. Ah. Okay, there we go. Killing the one in the back opens the door, and that room is just really scary in general because it's really laggy, and there's a lot of stuff in there that can just attack you.
Now, are the robots the ones setting the fire?
I don't think so. I think they're just there as security, and they've gone haywire. So now we're at the source of the problem with this giant fish. Maybe it has an official name. I'm not sure. Like, no names are like listed in the game, but I just call it Gulpo since that's like the name of the fish boss in Nights into Dreams. So basically, we're just in the circular field where just have to just keep hitting it. But go on.
I'm like, how is the fish the one causing the fire?
It's a robot fish.
That doesn't help. Oh no.
There we go. So technically, it's another boss you can hit whenever you want, but you can't. Yeah, it's just kind of hard because as long as it's doing its flailing attack after each hit, you can't target it. So you have to actually manually aim, which isn't really a thing. But it's a really easy fight. I think it's the easiest one in the game. So the goal of destroying that fish was to release the lock to cause the underwater facility to surface. That way we could more easily evacuate hundreds of people.
Did Tillis make it?
And that's Reed Phoenix right there. He's voiced by the guy who voiced originally voiced Knuckles.
Okay,
that's Joe.
Okay, that's it. I've already picked out my favorite character in the game.
Reed's everyone's favorite.
Good. I'm glad everyone else has good taste.
So now we have reached the surface, and we're gonna get a little fun banter.
Chris, where's Tillis? What happened to her?
Don't worry, she's okay.
There she is.
This is great! Chris, it's okay if I ride on his back for a while, right? Please?
Okay.
Luckily,
Only
the
if I can
game
get
here to
to ride
bail
first.
me out because the leader of the Burning Rangers' name is Chris, and she's
Yay.
you don't see her in game, but I believe you can play as her through a special code.
Can I play as Reed Phoenix?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, great, good. Game completely
Yeah.
redeemed in my eyes.
So now we're on to my favorite stage. Now we're going to the space colony because apparently a signal from space is what caused the fire in the underwater facility. So now we're going to the space colony where the signal originated from to see why the signal was sent out, because this facility is being dismantled currently, so there's no reason. So now we get to be introduced to the effects of gravity, where if you use your jump button, it causes you to ascend. It says you to go forward, but also ascend downwards at the same time. So we use like the boost dash in the air to continue to move forward without being pushed down. But once you get out of the dash, that you start going downward. And then basically the beginning of the stage is just a bunch of hitting switches to going back and forth to open the path.
I passed through the airlock. Confirmed simulated gravity of 0.9 G.
There we go.
Secured oxygen in this area.
And also there's like little enemies that can attack you when they're really annoying.
Guess I'll have to be careful where I step.
This is Reed.
So now another switch, and there's one more switch we gotta hit
The shutter should open.
before we can get out of this area.
Try climbing up to
And
reach it.
there's an area that like breaks open here. If you can get hit by it, and it saves a little bit of time, but then you lose all your safety crystals. And I don't really like going for it because it's such a risky play to make. Because if you die, then you have to restart the stage,
Oh no.
and there's a lot of like things in the way before the first checkpoint.
There's only one escape pod
There we
left.
go. So you can like gain a ton of height off of elevator platforms by jumping in them. Like when you're in them and you press jump again, you just fly really high up.
You'll have to stop your work.
And that right there is Big Landman.
You think you can just
He's the only guy with a bazooka for some reason.
You can't stop this family just because
That
it's all
wait,
weird.
how do you fight a fire with bazookas?
Good question.
Go rescue the workers.
I like how it doesn't have an answer.
So we're being told that the place is being dismantled, and they think it's a meteorite that hit the place, but it turns out it's not the case. There's this giant thing here that's supposed to block your path, but you can just go around that. I found that out by accident, just by getting hit through it, and I was like, oh, hey, the door behind it is open, so you don't have to actually fight it. So we just totally ignore that, and there's a guy there that needs rescuing, but he's fine on his own.
Yeah, he'll be fine. As we learned, you put out the least amount of fire, you rescue the least amount of people.
Has already been secured.
Yep.
Perfect, it's
Go in
fine.
Gate BO3.
Roger.
Oh,
Show it's dangerous. You're
there we go.
It's not over yet.
Whoa, a little too low there.
Wow.
All right.
You've got to listen.
So yeah, basically we're trying to get these people to evacuate, but they're not having any of it because they think everything's okay. They're not realizing that the place is like just completely getting destroyed.
This is Reed. Found 5 crew members.
And then soon a plot twist will come where we find out there's actually 2 kids who snuck on board the colony somehow, and we have not figured that one out
So
yet.
make sure you look
Were
for
they
the
here on a
cameras.
school trip?
No, we have no idea while they're here. They were just playing hide and seek, and we find one of the kids.
How are you playing hide and seek in space?
Well, what are you doing here?
Good
One of the 3
question.
doors is open now. The door below and to
So
the
now we
right.
gotta go find the kid.
Tillis, the dock will be scorched in a short while. The burning ship will break away and we will be waiting at a safe distance
And luckily, we're almost
you
to
be
him.
careful.
And
Chat points out that hiding in space is indeed the ultimate hiding spot.
it truly is. You can hide
mean,
anywhere in space. No one's
that's
gonna
right.
find you.
If you want to be like hardcore at hide and seek, just go to space.
So we now found this blue-haired boy who suspiciously looks like Elliot from Nights into Dreams.
Who are you? I'm a burning
And
ranger.
a lot
I
of
can
the
help you.
a lot of the staff who worked on Nights and Dreams have worked on this, of course. Naoto Oshima was the lead character designer of both games. He's also the guy you know who made Sonic. He made the original design for Sonic that everyone knows and loves.
Find the escape pod. There should be
So
one
he has
nearby.
I don't know, I wouldn't say he has a very distinct art style, but like going into this game in Phantasy Star Online, it becomes a very distinct style for him.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oop. So the catch with while we have the kid is that we can't take a hit, otherwise it counts as a game over, and we can't dash around.
This must be the escape pod.
But so we can't rescue him normally because there's interference. So we're just taking him to the escape pod, and we get a whole spiel about how we need to make it out alive so that he can get our autograph.
Be brave. He's waiting for you to come back. You don't want him to worry any more than he has to, right? Tillis, you have to promise me you'll come
Right
back
there.
and
See?
give me your
He's guilt
autograph.
tripping us.
I promise.
And for some reason we cut off his hand and part of his knee.
What have I gotten myself into? I can't break my promise with him.
What? What was any of that?
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, we promised people firefighting, but anime, and yeah.
We're getting firefighting plus anime, and now we're gonna fight a robot who
Well,
suspiciously
yeah.
looks like a Gundam.
It's the same thing I saw
She's
in the lower
legally
levels.
distinct.
Why? Who is it? Who's there?
And this is probably one of my favorite boss fights. Basically, the core is always available for damage, but you have to shoot the armor off in order to deal damage. But you can keep chaining attacks, and it makes like a really fast-paced fight. But sometimes you can get unlucky, like I am now, where your targeting is targeting the armor falling off instead of the crystal in the middle. There we go. So I'm doing like a lot of bunny hops. Part of that is for movement, and also for whatever reason you fill up your gauge faster when you're jumping, so you can do charge attacks more frequently. So now with that, we're getting getting psychic messages from a green-haired girl named Irie, who is the root cause of everything that's going on, both directly and indirectly. Basically, she was diagnosed with an incurable disease, so her father put her in cryogenic stasis and set up an AI on the space colony to basically send her home when a cure is found. But since a cure is found, a lot has happened in the space colony, and the AI has actually taken it over and is now hurtling the entire space colony to Earth to bring her home, which is
There's so many tropes going on.
which is a huge disaster.
So many.
And if you're familiar with Sonic Adventure 2, there's a lot of similarities in the story.
Oh yeah.
So there's a boss right there. We can just skip it. For whatever reason, the exit is still available while that mini boss is there. I actually never knew there was a mini boss there because I never got this far in the game casually. Like I'd get to stage 3 and I'd get lost and never be able to finish it. And so I never saw stage 4 casually. And here, stage 4 is kind of a maze. We're in an underwater section, and you just have to kind of know where to go. But luckily, it's pretty chill. There's no fires going on. There's no warning timer on you. And oh, I should have explained that. That green red bar at the top. When it goes completely red, a bunch of explosions happen. They refer to it as like the accident meter.
Okay.
Yeah, so when it goes down when you don't fight fires, and it goes up when you do destroy fires.
Okay.
And so they incentivize you to put out fires just to prevent explosions from happening, to make you have to deal with them. But going fast is not that important.
Gotcha. Let me just very quickly. Can I just do a very quick little blurb?
Sure. But can I just say this real quick?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. We're in the hardest part of the game because basically it's just a tight platforming section, and this game is not meant for platforming. So go ahead.
Yeah, as Shentok takes on the platforming, this is just a little update for you all. So next run after this one is Final Fantasy X-2 by Nikki Noel. We have 3 naming incentives for the different monsters that are going to be used in that run. Those actually need to come in pretty soon because Nikki will be naming them very early on in that run. So if you would like to name either the goon, the female goon, or the blue flan, we need those donations in probably within about 20 minutes or so, y'all. So I'm giving you the heads up. I just talked to Nikki about it because I would love to see all of those get some beautiful names, and not just all just
Tillis, come in,
Nikos from
Tillis. Do you
video
need me?
games.
Tillis, are you okay?
But at least one of them, better be named Nikos, y'all, or you're going to break my poor heart.
Tillis, are you alright? I'm okay. Listen, I got some info.
So
There's
now-
an urgent update.
I heard it. We all heard it.
So now we're getting into a lot of people's favorite track from the game. It's a real banging track. This stage is like semi-auto scroller. Like you can speed it up and slow it down a little, but by and large, it's an auto scroller. But it's like a really fun section and it's kind of relaxing. So now we're like in the ship. We're going through this thing to get to the cardio core. So we can put out fires. There's boosters. There's crystals. You know, and there's things in the way. Everything you want in an auto scroller, and it's actually really fun. Oop, there we go.
This song's actually really good.
It's really good.
It's
Like,
real
there's-
good.
There's not a whole lot of music in this game, but what's there is fantastic. Like a lot of the game is atmospheric stuff. Just that booster, but there we go. So it's like usually its average is about like a minute 5 for me, but you can get like as low as a minute, maybe even low, if you hit every single booster and don't hit a single obstacle. But that's kind of hard because some of near the end it gets really tight.
This is such pure, like, distilled late 90s. I love it.
I know, it's fantastic. 104 is pretty good.
Entering the ship's central area. Big and Tillis.
Like the best I've done, I think, is like a
Showing me,
101.
Use the left one to reach the core.
Chris, go back outside.
But that's like
Everyone
that's like really
Okay.
tough to do.
Good luck to you all.
And then we get nice little dialogue inspiring everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's do it.
you have that song. I mean, I feel so inspired to fight like every fire right now.
Exactly.
Oh,
So now, oh,
go
what?
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, now we're getting to the only skip in the game, and it's actually a pretty big skip on itself. There's like, if you follow a big landman, there's like some platforming you can do and some dialogue that reveals a bit more of the story, but we're just going to skip all that and go straight right to the end. And by doing this, it actually skips a bunch of cutscenes. I was very surprised about, because I only found out about the cutscenes after like I died on this fight and it reset all the triggers. So basically, we fight this wall dude. Normally, Big is supposed to be here to help you with it, and he says stuff. And we can only attack when his eyes open, but if you just pay attention, you can time your attacks most of the time. Oop.
Ow! I'm okay.
And let's see,
I'm
I think
okay.
one more hit. Yep, there we go. And normally when you enter this room, there's a cutscene that like goes into Area Klein, who's in that capsule there. You can kind of tell it's a capsule. Like if I were to look at it, it would be. And then Big just suddenly appears again.
Back on the ship now.
Now the only thing I need to do is save the world.
You forgot
We're
one
gonna
thing.
save the world, and we gotta make it back alive, because that's what's important. Saving the world is secondary.
I mean, I guess probably you should save the world first, and then you have someplace to come back alive too.
Good point. So now we're getting into the first phase of the final boss, which is, I guess, 2 phases if you don't count the many moves it does. And the first phase is pretty easy. It's just attacking it. It does have like a shield that can put up that delays like your chance of dealing damage, but you can be pretty quick about it. And now we're getting to the real phase. This boss is actually really tough casually. There is we have a way of killing him in one cycle. Because like after every attack, he's supposed to go across the screen and do the next move in a cycle, and you're supposed to destroy these discs that pop up. Nope. Okay, didn't get it the first time. So there's a window of hitting him after hitting him initially that lets you do multiple hits on him, and sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. Like right before the run, I was doing a little practice just like for sound reasons, and I managed to two cycle him, which is really hard to do. Ah, okay, I don't like this phase at all. Okay, I'll take that. And yeah, so the audio can really like glitch out here for whatever reason. I've actually had the audio die before.
Oh wow.
Because it loaded a voice clip of me getting hit as it was changing tracks, because it does like a thing where it changes tracks after doing hits. Like that.
Also, are we fighting like the AI? Like what are we actually fighting here?
Yeah, the AI. I don't know if it has a name. I just refer to it as Dark Falls because it looks a lot like Dark Falls from Phantasy Star Online.
I mean, I'm super digging this boss design.
Yeah. I love this boss, but it's just a pain in the neck like it's being right now.
I'm okay.
But that's okay. Okay, give me that crystal. I don't want to die. No, it's off screen. Oh, no, I got it. Thank you, magnets. Almost got... Okay, so I got 2 hits there. But like I said, right before this run, I got a 7-hit combo on him, which is really hard to do. And that would be time.
GG!
Thanks. I think that would have been a PB if I didn't mess up this boss fight.
That sounds very impressive.
Yeah. You get treated to an anime cutscene to round everything out.
Yes, anime cutscene! I'm so excited!
Shoot, I can't. There's a huge magnetic
And both characters have basically the same ending, but the dialogue changes a little bit depending on which character you have. And playing as Tillis, you get the better dialogue.
Prepare to abort.
But what?
Reed, there's nothing we can do.
Oh my god, Reed's so pretty in anime cutscenes.
He is.
He's so my type.
And we fear we may have lost Tillis.
Like Betty? No, we already lost Betty. We can't lose Tillis too.
Tillis.
No, Tillis is fine.
Okay, good. Scared me.
Tillis,
I'm back home.
you did a remarkable job by yourself. You did really well.
You made it back.
And for some reason, Show just says cool.
Cool.
Okay, that actually makes me like Show a lot now.
And we've saved the world, and we also saved the green-haired girl that you only see in anime cutscenes.
That was beautiful.
And the credits are amazing, but they're like 15 minutes long.
That is totally understandable. Very quickly though, I do have a donation to read it. Chat did answer the call, so bless you all, chat. Which has escalated currently. While all this is going on, there is now a actual like legitimate bid war going on, which is amazing. So the bid war is exactly how our the goon, the female goon, and the blue flan for Final Fantasy X-2. We had Leggy Starscream sort of come in with like the first round, wanting to name the goon in full Nikos from video game, because you have a lot of characters to fill. And then we have Random Hughes though, who's been spreading out his donations to name the goon Nikos from the female goon Video and the Blue Flan Games. So, Chad, it's up to you. If you want to come in and upset the balance, I will say that for the goon, Nikos From is currently at $45. Nikos From Video Game is at $16. And then Video for Female Goon is at $15, and Games for the Blue Flan is also at $15. So, have fun with that donation bid war. It's going to be wrapping up fairly early on in 10-2. Also, I love that now we're getting everyone's like height and weight and ages and everything, just get all their like information.
It's a totally Japanese thing to do.
It is a super Japanese thing to do. Yes, Mechaleek says we possibly could have Nikos from Video Game.
I am in love with this and I fully support it.
But that's up to you. Oh! Wait, it says birthday unknown Pisces? That implies they at least know, like, roughly her month. He has a cat! No!
He does!
He has a kitty!
He's the perfect husbando.
He's such a good husbando, oh my goodness! Okay, so... Alright. I've been swayed. I mean, here's the thing: is one of my previous nicknames has been Scala Kitty 10K Husbandos, or just Scala 10K Husbandos Kitty. Yes. So yeah, both Nikos from Video Games as well as Reed Phoenix. Yes, absolutely good my pro husbandos for tonight's runs. Anyway, y'all, we are going to as fun as these credits are, we do have to let Nikki come in and take over. So Shentok and I, we are going to bow out now. It has been absolutely wonderful hosting for you all for the Fighter block. You all are absolutely fantastic.
I'm just happy there was a firefighter block.
It was, we were very happy to put that together for y'all. And let's see, let me just see who is coming in next as host. So next up, you have the return of Bullet Jill, who was here earlier. So you all get more Jill, which is always fantastic. As we established earlier, Jill is good. So anyway, y'all, I've been Scala Kitty. Shentok, do you have anything to say before we turn it over and get Nikki started?
Go out and buy a Sega Saturn.
I want one, actually, but that's for later. But yes, go buy a Sega Saturn, play this game, and we hope you all have yourselves a good evening and a good rest of the marathon, and we'll see you all later.
Have a wonderful night.